Donald Trump is once again being accused of inciting political violence. So we're to evaluate whether those accusations are fair. On Truth Social, he retruthed this. You can see a message from Von Ritter. It's an anonymous rando. Who knows who that person is or if it even is a person, but we do know what this person's fantasy is. My fantasy, all in caps. I would like to see misspelled Leticia James and Judge Engoron placed under citizen's arrest for blatant election interference and harassment. Now, the idea that this random weirdo on Truth Social wants someone to just find Leticia James and the judge, track him down, place him under citizen's arrest, based purely on their understanding of that concept coming out of like movies from the 80s, is an issue. The fact that it got over 3,000 retruths is a slightly bigger issue. But the idea that Donald Trump, the guy who is being prosecuted by or judged by those two people, would spread it to his, and he well knows this, deluded group of crazies, that seems like a big issue. And so this is effectively Donald Trump saying, yeah, it's an interesting fantasy. Some crazy person from Truth Social just tracking these people down and effectively kidnapping them. And so people are saying that this is inciting them to violence. Jayar, what do you think?
It's pretty obvious, but that's one of the points. This is the same. He has the same playbook generally over and over again. But this is also sometimes the result of what his fellow children, and also Alina Habba have been doing. Every time they get a chance, they run to the cameras in front of the courtroom or in the lobby of the courtroom area and inside the courtroom and then right outside, then in the street outside and then in the car on the way home, consistently talking about Leticia James and then this judge and then their clerk and over again about how they're coming for them. Look how unfair this was. You know what happened today? Do you guys know what happened today in court? And they run back out and do the same thing over and over again. So they can get people to then feel like no matter what happens, because we already know he's lost this case already. It's just a matter of how much he's losing and how much they're gonna judge as far as he's on the hook for because of the way that they've already adjudicated this case, is that they want the rest of the folks who then are supporting no matter what to feel like this is an injustice. Never once have they said, we've already lost this case. We just want to try and minimize the amount of damage and punitive damages that we're gonna have to then result in afterwards. They won't say that. They just say, this is a witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. They're coming for me and it's unfair. They already came for you and they already got your ass. Now is the point when you have to pay the penalties. That's what we're dealing with right now. But they don't want to tell other folks that. They want folks to be incited to the point where they'll say, hey, let's go find these folks that they continue to talk about every day that they say are coming for the attention, when who's in front of the cameras every day talking about attention? Alina Habba, sometimes Donald Trump when he's in town for it, and then his kids, who she keeps talking about her. Just the children are being mistreated. These 45-year-old children are being mistreated.
I cannot believe he still calls them children. Anyway, yeah. Look, this is the accusations of this being incitement to violence. That's what it's designed to do. I have no idea if it's gonna work. You know, any one of these things, any obvious attempt to stoke stochastic terrorism is unlikely to work. That's why they do so many of them. And I have to imagine that Leticia James and Arthur Engoron are probably well protected, particularly during this case. So I'm not as worried about that. But these people are crazy that he's trying to communicate to. The idea that it's absurd and illegal to try to attack these people, or that it would be incredibly unlikely to work, doesn't mean that they won't try. As we'll be talking about later in the show, there have been people on the right who have tried this before. We'll be talking about Paul Pelosi once again. And bear in mind, this is not like one random retruth and that's it. That's the only time he's weighed in on this. He has recently said that James should be prosecuted for committing fraud. So that is the former president of the United States telling his millions of followers she is a criminal who has gotten away with her crimes, on top of all of the other stuff of her supposedly being racist purely because she's a black woman, a million different things. And there are a million different randos, and he is hoping something will happen. And if it does happen, by the way, Jayar, if some crazy person tries to break into James's house screaming citizen's arrest, it doesn't matter from the point of view of Trump. Like, it's not like, oh, he crossed a line. He said, we should get these people. Then they went after them. Even if they're screaming the exact thing, citizen's arrest, it doesn't matter. There's always gonna be a wall between the actions they take and any sort of culpability. And that's just so frustrating, going.
Yeah, it's this was proven out, and they showed that they're willing to do this on January 6th. So yeah, and what was the result of that? You're talking about, you wonder what the response would be if someone would actually run up in one of these folks' houses, or at least attempt to, with violence. We saw it happen in the Capitol. They ran up in that house and decided to try to commit violence. They did, or try to kill people. They didn't get that far, but they've already shown that they're willing to do it. And what was the response then? Freedom fighters, political prisoners, Americans, true patriots in jail for breaking into the Capitol and trying to kill people. That would be the response. They'd say, look, these are just good-hearted patriots trying to come after the bad people in America. That's what they'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll say that hospital's transing your kids, and it gets immediately bomb threats. It doesn't matter. The people who said it doesn't matter. Like, just it doesn't matter how specific your claims are, how immediate the action is. You'll always be protected. That's why this is the tactic that they use. By the way, commenting on this, a lot of people are pointing out how utterly absurd and dangerous this is. But I did want to give credit to state senator from New York, Mike Gianaris, who says citizens arrest is bonkers to begin with, and it shouldn't be used by aspirational despots to go after their perceived enemies. We must get rid of it once and for all. Glad our Senate passed my bill to do just that. This is something that prior to this, he had already been working on, which, look, in the wake of these comments seems timely, but like, it didn't seem like a topic that even needed anyone to deal with it, because who is thinking about citizens arrest? But yeah, now that I think about it, I guess I no doubt that there's probably QAnoners and sovereign citizens and all these weirdos that probably had that in their bag of conspiracy theories. One additional thing, this I guess is less immediately threatening, but Trump also recently said that were he to become president again, Special Counsel Jack Smith and others would end up in a mental hospital. He used the term mental hospital because he also earlier this year called for mental hospitals to return. He's an old-timey guy. No word on if they would be forcibly admitted to one of these hospitals, or if I guess they would just choose to go. But whether it's jail or someone's basement into a pit that they dug down there, or a mental hospital, Trump has a lot of different plans for what should happen to all of his political opponents. Any final thoughts, Jayar?
By the way, John, citizens arrest. California Penal Code 837 PC, or the Citizens Arrest Law, was enacted in 1872. That's how current it is right now. The Citizens Arrest Law. I've looked at a couple other states, and basically what it is if a citizen sees something going down and they see a crime in progress, they can go, oh, there's a cop there. Hey, cop, look what's happening. That's what they can do. From my really quick 5-second read of it, so maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I saw.
By the way, I don't know what it is, but I made a reference to this. There was a movie where someone is screaming citizens arrest. I feel like it was Jim Carrey. I don't know for sure, but that is definitely what most people's thoughts about citizens arrest are coming from.
100% a movie thing.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.